Hi, Mark Robertson back with you on my site, Caring Lawn Chairs. It's named after my book, Caring Lawn Chairs, Youth Sports and Other Parental Mindsets. It's on Amazon. If you go to the books page, it doesn't come up on a general browse, but you'll get the information there. It's $2.99 for the ebook and just under $10 for the paperback book. And the book is divided into two parts. The first part of the book deals with all the problems I have with organized youth sports for kids. I know this may sound sacrilegious, but I'm against kids 12 and under playing organized youth sports. I believe in the book I mention 11 and under, but I've come to the conclusion of 12 and under. Let them play pickup games. That's where they have the most fun, and that's how they learn how to play the sport. You all probably know the name Yogi Berra. I'm not talking about the cartoon, but the great Major League Baseball player. And he has said that he would rather have kids who played sandlot baseball growing up for his team rather than Little League Baseball. Because someone playing sandlot might bat 40 times a day, and they would be having fun, and they'd be learning how to play out in the fresh air. And versus a kid who plays on an organized sports team might bat 3 or 4 times in a game and not having fun, and the pitchers could be much better than them and they couldn't even hardly see the ball. So got to go with Yogi Berra. I remember Mickey Mantle too said he used to play in the fields of Oklahoma. He'd bat 60 times a day, and that's how he learned to play in pickup games. And so if you want your kid to be a great baseball player, let him play pickup games instead of organized youth sports. But anyway, I'm against it for 12 and under for so many reasons. And today we're starting to put the show on YouTube. So I'm going to kind of go over what my basic philosophy is on organized youth sports and kids. By the way, in the second part of the book, I deal with all sorts of other issues that young people deal with, and the pressure put on them, and the insanity in government schools, and all sorts of stuff pushed at kids, not good for them. And I'm against government schools as well. So I've got a long way to go there, though. But anyway, again, my basic belief is that I don't think kids have fun playing organized youth sports. Like I say, I mentioned Yogi Berra a few minutes ago. Here's a picture of him, and get the reflection here. When he was, looks like he's batting left-handed there, but it's just because I'm facing the camera. But that's when he played on what they call the Hill in St. Louis, and it's just a pickup game. And he'd play all day, and his dad, and Joe Garagiola's dad, worked in a factory near there, and they played baseball during the day, pickup games, and that's where he said he learned to play. He didn't play Little League Baseball. And so the point is that so many parents put their kids into organized sports for the wrong reasons. And a lot of it has to do with the parents. Have you ever been to one of these games, even like a T-ball game? By the way, I think T-ball is one of the worst inventions ever. It shows the mindset of those involved. Well, put the ball on a tee, and so you can learn to swing level, and so then you can be better when you get older and be a major league player. I've seen stats where 75% of parents think their child has a chance to play in the major leagues, and it's insanity. And they always want to focus on, well, we got to teach them how to play better, and how to do footwork, and how to do this, and where to throw, and how to throw, and to swing level. And anyway, you go to these games, and you got all these parents in the stands, and they're screaming at the kids. These kids could be 5, 6 years old playing t-ball, and they don't know how to play. And when they get a hit, it's like the life and death situation that they got to win that game. And the kids aren't having fun. They do it because the parents want them to do it, because they want the love of the parents. That is what all young children want. That's all they know at that age. What organized youth sports does is treat children like little adults. That is child abuse, in my opinion. They're not little adults. I know it seems so idyllic that you have kids on a field in uniforms looking just like the major leaguers. But that's not how they get better. But this is how parents think they have to do. And they got to get them started real young so they'll even have a chance. And then they got to put them into some academies or send them to baseball camps or something. Let them play pickup games. It's crazy. It's dysfunctional, these baseball games with little kids. with the parents screaming in the stands and the kids not having fun. Let them go to the park. I mean, how many times during the summer do you drive by a baseball field and kids are playing baseball? You can't even on most of them. Most of them lock them up and because they get them ready for the actual Little League games. I played at what was called boys baseball. And when I played, it was like 10 to 12. Okay, you have some 10-year-olds who might be more like 8 and 9-year-olds. And you have some 12-year-olds who might be more like 13 and 14-year-olds. So essentially, you could have a 14-year-old pitching to an 8-year-old. They are not having fun, the 8-year-olds. And I remember that. Each team had a player that was the best player, and you couldn't even hardly hit it. It wasn't fun at all. But it seems so normal, and it seems so Americana. Little League. Oh, I'm going to coach my son's Little League team. I mean, there's so many wonderful people who do that, and I know a number of them. But I think it would be better just to go out and get a bunch of kids together and play a pickup game. It'd be okay to have the fathers there playing and just have fun playing a game. Let them play. I've played with kids on a field and they're having fun. We played an Indian ball game on this field one time. It was just we couldn't find a field to play on because they're all locked up or they were playing on them. And so we went to this place in this one park. It wasn't even level. It was like on a hill. And we played like Indian ball. And those kids had so much fun. And they were learning how to play the game. And they were so into it. They're not into these Little League games. They're afraid to make mistakes. They don't want to make mistakes in front of everybody, the adults. And these adults, a lot of times the men, they treat these Little League things like it's the major leagues. Like, oh, this kid's going to be on their team next year, and he's a great player, and he's got, he's a pitcher and all. Oh my God, it's so crazy, organized sports. I worked in it for a number of years, many years ago, and it was crazy then. And this is decades ago. And the parents were there. Oh my gosh, I'd have people calling me, and you'd have to pick the all-star team, and mothers were upset if their kids didn't make it. It was awful. I wouldn't do that again. If I had to do it over, I wouldn't even be involved in it. I wouldn't even want to play Little League baseball or boys baseball if I had to do it again. I would just rather go to the park and play Indian ball. We played Indian ball. You could play with as few as 2 people. You throw a ball up and hit it, and if you catch a ground ball or a fly ball, it's an out. And we'd have a fence for a home run, and you just throw the ball, and we'd play that for hours. And kind of like Yogi Berra did, and he learned how to play the game. And he's the only man in history with 10 World Series rings. So he was doing something right. And yes, our nation is obsessed with sports. I like sports. I've always liked it. I follow it, baseball, especially in golf. And it's great. But these little leagues and these parents and all of this stuff goes on, and you would think it was the end of the world in T-ball. And these little kids don't want to be out there. They're not having fun. It's all about the parents and their self-worth and what they can do, what they're looking down the road to do. That's another thing. Parenting so much seems to be about the future. Parents should have enjoyment with their kids in the present, whether they're at home, whether they're at the park. Just enjoy the moment. Organized youth sports is all about the future. They want them there doing this. Yes, they want to win those games now, and winning lifts the self-worth of the parents. But it's about the future because they got to start young so they can be good in high school and college and the major leagues. Let them find out if they like playing it, if just playing pickup games. We had a show a while back about what they do in Norway. Norway is a country of 5 million people, yet they dominate at the Winter Olympics. Do they start kids real young when they're 2 and 3, getting them skiing? Well, what they do is they have these just free play programs. They have a video on it. NBC did a report on it. You could Google that, Norway, just Nor-Way on NBC Sports, and that'll show up. But they just let them play, and they let them find things that they like to do. If they like to ski or they like to skate, and then they can kind of see people who are drawn to that and who have ability. And then when they get to be about 13, they do put them in some programs. I'm not even sure I agree with that. To treat them and to train them and get them better and to hone their skills. And these kids, they have great memories of these times. They had one time when they opened up the cross-country skiing areas, and I think they do it once a year in the wintertime in Norway, and the kids and all the families there and picnics, and the kids are skiing around on little skis and just having a blast. That's what it's about. It's about enjoying time with the family and just having fun in the present moment. And these kids, they kind of learn what they had this little ski jump where they go and jump. It's probably about 3 feet off the ground into thick snow, and they would do that. And some of them eventually they could see when they're 10 or 11 might have some talent in this area, and so they would when they're 13 they'd ask them if they want to be in it. And it is sponsored by the government, which and it's another thing it's not that agreeable to. But my main point is that these kids didn't have to be starting at age 3 to learn how to ski jump or to ski. They just played. They played in the snow, in the skis, and they were naturally attracted to certain things and events. And the people there saw that they might have some talent. And whether, I remember one person said, well, whether they go on to the Olympics or not, they'll have a great memory of time when they were a child, just playing outside in the snow. And they'll have, kids don't have great memories of Little League baseball. I don't think. Some may, but I don't. And I know, but parents are so obsessed. And parenting is sacrificial. I don't have a problem with parents. First of all, I am not a parental guru. I don't look at anybody as an expert on everything. I can take things from some people that might work and others that might work. And so that's what I'm doing. I'm putting out what I think, and you can take some things from this or not take anything from it. And but I just telling you what I see and what I've observed. And it's organized youth sports is not good for kids, in my opinion, 12 and under. And if they get older and they can play and they enjoy it, and they can, and they don't need, people think, oh, well, if they don't start real young, they're going to be way behind. No, they're not. I mean, let them, like I say, if they're playing pickup games, they'll be better than the kids playing organized youth sports. It's kind of like homeschooling, it's similar to that. A lot of times the homeschoolers are a lot better in school than the kids in government schools. And so that's the main point that I bring about in my book, Carrying Lawn Chairs, and that I'm against organized youth sports for kids 12 and under. And, you hear about people putting them in soccer. Well, they got to learn their footwork. I coached a soccer team one time. I didn't know anything about soccer other than, a ball goes back and forth and you try to make a goal. But a neighbor, they needed a coach, so I said, okay, I'll give it a shot. Well, I had a call from this parent of one of the young players, and he was telling me I got to teach him better footwork and do all this other stuff. And all these other coaches, some of them had backgrounds in professional soccer in Europe. I didn't have any background at all, but they played good. We just had fun out there, and they won some games. And but man, all those parents were on the side of the field, and they were all just. It was like the end of the world, and they were just so focused on the field, on their players, their kids. I know parents want good things for their kids. No problem with that. But parenting, like I was saying, it's sacrificial. You can't use what your kids do to uplift your self-worth. You can be proud of your kids and happy that they're succeeding for their benefit. But work on yourself. You got to be in good shape to be happy whether your kids are doing great or not. Now, you can encourage them. You want them to do good in school and things, yes. But it's for them. It's not for your self-worth. It's for their life. And like I say, childhood is so brief. You have to let children play. Every child ever born knows how to play. That's what they do. I mean, I have a couple of nieces who have kids. One's a nephew and one's a niece. They have new babies, and I've been to see them. These babies, they're never bored. They never know, well, what am I going to do next? Everything is wonder and awe to them in this new world. And yeah, they might cry when they want to, are hungry or whatever, but you put them on the floor and put a few things on the floor that they could spend all morning there and just in awe and wonder of the world. And we lose that as we grow up, and kids lose that, and parents force that. They want, oh, you gotta start being serious in this world, and you better start playing baseball when you're 3 years old or you're never going to make it. It's just crazy. It's crazy. And, you also hear people in leagues, and like I say, a lot of these people that coach are well-meaning, and a lot of them really do help the kids. And but they're very serious about the sports. And but when you play pickup games, you can be very serious about it, but you're having fun. You want to win. And these organized sports, you really don't. You want to just not make mistakes. And but anyway, they lose the wonder. The kids just have a brief window of childhood. Let them play. Don't worry about their futures. Yes, there have to be boundaries. Yes, you don't want them to run out in the street, and very strict boundaries, as a matter of fact. But let them play in the backyard, kick the ball around. They'll have fun for hours. Let them keep the wonder of childhood for as long as they can. I've pointed out this before, that Albert Einstein, great scientist, he has a quote that says, if you want to raise intelligent kids, read them fairy tales. And if you want to raise real intelligent kids, read them more fairy tales. In other words, imagination is just as important or more important than strict, rigid, rigorous learning. Now, that's important too. We all need to know how to talk and use proper grammar and math and history and things like that. But the imagination is limitless. And he came up with his ideas basically. Yes, he had some training in science. He couldn't even get a job as a professor in college, so he had to be a patent officer. That's where he made most of his discoveries or historic writings. And the imagination of his mind, he could see things, and he would write them down. But anyway, let them have the joy and wonder of childhood. Oh, this sounds so great, but it's not realistic. It's so realistic. It's so important that kids play, and that's how they develop. That's how they learn who they are. There's so many things you see kids, and they don't know who they are, and they don't know what. It's because, like I say, the schools, the government schools especially, but even private schools, it's all about meeting these high standards and doing all this, and that's fine. Sometimes you have these kids who go to school. Well, they're great in everything, sports and math and academics. That's fine, but it kind of gets the person away from who they really are. You got to put that up there as just as important, at least. And they learn who they are through play and fun, and they don't need to be condemned or made fun of ever. And yes, I have no kids. It's not all play all the time. They have duties around the house, helping keep their rooms clean, and clean the kitchen after dinner, and take the trash out, things like that. That's important as well. But even that, they could look at it as a fun thing to do, and look at it, do it in a way that they could have fun doing it. And so I'm just saying, the kids know how to play. God would not have made all children know how to play if he didn't want them to play. So don't be worried about if they're going to get behind if they don't start real young. It's crazy. And again, go play pickup games. Have a wiffle ball in the backyard. Just do it for fun. Don't do it because you want to have a kid learn how to hit at age 5. It's crazy. A 5-year-old is still full of wonder. They don't know all of the craziness in the world yet, and they've got great ideas. If you ever hear them talking, and they have just a great perspective of the world. They're geniuses, and each child has a genius. No, God didn't leave anybody out. And now you say, well, what about the kids born handicapped? Well, they all have special things they offer as well. And every child has a thing that they are good at, and they can be honed. And so it's not just everybody is the same. We put them in rows at school. You learn this. Some kids are better at learning it than others, so they're the smart kids, and then the dumb kids don't learn. Everybody has something, a gift from God that he wants people to use while we're on this earth. And that's the thing that parents should nurture in kids. Now, again, I don't have all the answers. I don't have very many answers, but I just know that's true. And you see other kids with drugs and all this other stuff. I think that has a lot to do with forcing them to be who they aren't. Now, I'm not saying that everybody says, well, if they don't do this, they're lazy. That's insane to call a child lazy. Now, parents have to keep close watch on their children. They can get hooked up with some bad company. But even that bad company, those kids have potential as well. They come from backgrounds that just really are not good at all. And that's they turn to drugs or promiscuity and things like that, that they want fulfillment. There's a vacuum there that needs filled, and they fill it with all sorts of bad things. Well, why do they need to fill that? Because they aren't filled with love of the parents and family and others, and probably have never been introduced to God and things like that. So they turn to these things that aren't good. But parents, you need to love their children, so that's part of it, and it's so necessary. And the kids, when they're playing these organized sports, they do that. They know they're not having fun, but they do it because their parents want them to. And at that young age, they want the love of their parents, so they do it. So then they get confused though. So parents want me to do something I don't have fun doing, and then they say, "Well, you got to learn to do things you don't want to do." Well, that's crazy. It's not crazy. Yes, we all have responsibilities. We got to balance our checkbooks. We've got to do many other things in life to be adjusted in life. But when it comes to things like organized youth sports, if they don't like that, why do parents put them in it? It's crazy. And again, it's about the parents. And I know if somebody's seeing this, it might offend some people, but it's about the parents' self-worth. It's not about the kids. It's about building the self-worth of the parents. And I've talked about this before too, but the young man, very confused young man who is accused of killing Charlie Kirk. There's a video on a Facebook page with this alleged killer's mom, and this this kid, Tyler Robinson. He was evidently a very intelligent kid in school, made all sorts of honor rolls and things like this, and did all sorts of great things with, I believe, in science and things like that. And his mom was on this video, and you could tell her whole life was built around her son's success. And she said, "Oh, my Tyler, my brain hurts, all the stuff he does and has grades in school, and we're going to go look at some colleges, and there's so many of them want him to come there." And so this Tyler Robinson sees that his parents love him for what he does, not for who he is, just by being a breathing child. And so what does he turn to? He turns to all sorts of craziness. I mean, the guy, it is just insane. And what he believed then, and he thinks the answer would be to kill the guy. And so how do you get to that point? And to me, it has a lot to do with the parents loving what the child does instead of loving the child, and which they so need at especially young age. And they got to realize that that's their self-worth is just for being and not for accomplishments. Now again, no problem with accomplishments, and parents at times even have to push children. Parenting is not obviously easy in this world. You got to make ends meet, make the money, do all this other things that it takes to parent. And so many broken families these days. That's a topic for another time, but it's not easy. But if you say just one thing to put forth, love your kids and love them for who they are and not for what they accomplish. And you can be happy with their accomplishments, but know that they're loved whether they accomplish or not. And that would make the world a much better place. And if these kids know they're loved. So many of them grow up even in households that seem good, that are provided for. Kids are well provided for, even wealthy households. That's often kids don't know that they're loved just for being who they are. They celebrate all of these great things they might do in school or on the athletic field, and that's great. They can have fun watching that, and but they have to know at the base of everything that they're loved just for who they are. And that's basically the point of my book. It's about organized youth sports, but it's more of a dynamic about the family and how parents see things and what they want for their kids. And so many times parents want their kids into areas that the kids don't even want to go to, and the parents think they're doing some good for some kids, but it's like so embarrasses the kids and things like this, and that can't be good. But again, I'm throwing out this because this is what I've observed. Take this, do what you want with it, but just love your kids. Enjoy the present moment with your kids as much as possible. Let them play. That's where they learn. That's where their imagination runs wild. Let them play outside. Get them off the phones. These phones are crazy. They're infinite. They're dangerous. And let them play outside, ride their bikes. And again, I grew up in the 60s, and we'd be outside all day. I did cut grass for a living and umpired baseball, but we had fun in the backyard playing wiffle ball, or down at the park playing Indian ball and things like that. That's what childhood is. And I mean, you hear about these stories. These parents, I mean, I have a niece whose sons, they have him in hockey, and he's like about 11 now, maybe 12. But you go to these games, and my niece is pretty good at it. She didn't do this, but I was sitting there on these bleachers in one of these hockey games. Oh my! And they were about 9 years old then, I think. And when they'd get a breakaway to the goal, these parents, they would be stomping on these bleachers, like, oh my gosh, it's great, or it's like the end of the world to them. And you could tell they're so on edge about their self-worth, that it relies on this. And again, I'm not against cheering at sporting events, but you could tell that they were so fanatic and into this that it was more than just cheering at a sporting event. It would mean that they would either have some self-worth or they wouldn't. And so that's where we are. That's the way it is at almost all organized youth sports. And they virtually all organized youth sports. And now, am I against high school sports? No. They're older than 12. That's fine. Let them play. That's a different game altogether. But these young kids in organized youth sports, no way. I'm against it. And I know that's a rare, maybe it's a singular view. I've heard of the people that talk about that, including major leaguers, thinking that Little League is not good for kids, including Yogi Berra. And and when I say Little League, all the sports, basketball, football, baseball, and other things too. And there's some things like martial arts and things like that. I don't have any problem with putting kids in that. That really does improve them. Now, they don't have to start at age 5, but maybe 10 or 11 or 12. That helps them with a lot of things. But that actually is good for them. I don't think organized youth sports are good for the kids. Again, it's dysfunctional seeing parents in the stands screaming at 5-year-olds and to do this or do that, and that the result of the game means so much to them. But also, they want to do this because they're worried about if they don't play well in t-ball that they won't be able to play beyond that. It is like it's like a dynamic that it's like almost hysterical, like they're out of control. And for 5-year-olds and 6-year-olds playing t-ball, and this is what I'm against. And so this is what I talk about on this side. We talk about a lot of other things related to young people, but the basis of the book and what I got started on was organized youth sports and how I'm against that. And then we talk about other things related to it, schooling and various other things, and parenting and things like that. So we thank you for joining us today. And like I say, we do this once a week now. I'm going to maybe start doing it more often. We had a little under the weather past week, so I'm doing it a little later this week. But we're going to keep after it, doing one show at a time. We'll see how it goes from there. So we thank you for joining us, and we will see you next time on Carrying Lawn Chairs.